Greetings, everyone. My name is Amikaeyla Sobande Greer. I'm the visionary and founder of Sacred Waters Retreats for Women of Color. We are bringing to you this session of our Sacred Speaker Greats. And today we have someone that is a sister from another mister, me. This sister I met several years ago, and the energy has always been excellent. The bond has always been immaculate. And so I am extra excited about having her at this annual Sacred Waters Retreat, which is held May 22nd through the 24th, 2020 in the beautiful rolling hills of Tennessee. Sacred Waters Retreats was founded about 17 years ago by me and another sister by the name of Shana Nunley out of Atlanta, Georgia. And it came out of a need of not seeing ourselves represented in ritual and reconnection and the divine feminine. So Sacred Waters has become not only a baby that we've birthed from the deepest of waters, but it has become a reflection of who we are as Black and brown women. And so today I want to remind everyone that is listening to our podcast, Seed, Soil, and Soul, or if you're watching this interview, that this sister Amikaeyla Gaston is going to not only rock you to sleep with some smooth sound from her soul. She's a vocalist extraordinaire and a world-renowned speaker and artist. But I'm going to let you tell the audience who you are, where you come from, and what you do. Good morning. Thank you, Amikaeyla, for joining us.
Good morning, my darling. How are you? And hello, family. Are you? You look fabulous, darling.
Thank you.
Purple going. You got the incense going. The whole vibration. I love it. Well, yes, my name is Amikaeyla, and I am the founder and executive director for the International Cultural Arts and Healing Sciences Institute. And I am grateful to be a cultural ambassador and partner with the United Nations and UNHCR and different organizations around the world where I actually go and work with at-risk children, youth, and families. And do art as advocacy work, and definitely infuse a remembrance element to it where people can remember the power of their authentic voice and the power of community, healing, artistry, and culture as a whole. And so that's what I do. I'm actually headed to Russia tomorrow, so wish me luck in the cold, y'all.
The sister said Russia. I told her, you go ahead and bring that good old dark, deep, ancestral Black soul.
Girl, do you see the wall behind me? Look at the wall behind me, Queen. I mean, that's what I'm gonna bring to the
Amikaeyla, can you tell our audience when you recognized and cultivated your own gifts, and if that was a difficult process? Did you find yourself trying to meet the standards of what your family thought you should be or who they thought you should be? How did you recognize and cultivate your own gifts?
Sure. Thank you actually for asking. You know, I think as women of color, and I think as women in general, but particularly for women of color, we have to ride this delicate balance of being true to ourselves and finding our own way and voice and belief system and path and calling, and honoring that coupled with what our parents want for us and from us. So a lot of us come from challenging backgrounds where our parents might not have been wealthy. And so we know that here in America, a lot of the consumerisms and the ticket to freedom is always based in, you know, become a doctor, become a lawyer, become a this, become a that. And so I think that a lot of people are really driven to please their parents as well as wanting to create a very lucrative and comfortable lifestyle for themselves. And I think that for myself personally, I had to wed the two. I had to wed my love of science and my love of nature and my love of Black Girl Magic and my love of music and art, and it all came together and coalesced into this organization that I founded. And that took a minute. That took a big process. It took going to all the different schools, going to medical school, going to psych grad school, going to all the different ways that they have to come together school-wise, which in this new day and age has shifted and melded into something different. You can access your way of life that you want to maintain with that as a foundation, but not necessarily as the only modality for getting to the communities that you want to get to, and speaking and being in community with other people. Because oftentimes, you know, you can get stuck in a hospital setting, and that's the only place that you feel empowered. But if you feel like you need to be larger than that, if you feel like you have more to give, your spirit is drawing you. For me, my spirit was drawing me internationally. I knew that I needed to be in connection and be of service and a healer and in healing by the world. And so I knew I had to keep it moving, honey, and I needed it to be an international situation. And so that's what I crafted for myself. And it does. It takes grit. It takes self-belief. It takes succeeding, failing, and finding your own path until it finally works for you. And actually mine came after a very powerful incident. I was a victim of a hate crime. I was run over by a truck by 5 white men who saw a Black woman in a field of flowers. And I died and came back. But the healing that went through me, and it was right before medical school, the healing that I had to do in the hospital made me realize as the patient that I needed to be an advocate for people who would come into hospitals as patients. We're not taught how to be an advocate for self in the healthcare field. And I think that that is part of the process that I needed to learn, and being able to go out into the world and help people who didn't have a voice for themselves find their voice. That's my truest passion and calling. And couple that with music as medicine, because that's what got me through 2 years of being in and out of the ICU and coming back from the dead and learning how to breathe again and learning how to walk again. All of those things, coupled with social justice and advocacy work, it's too many pieces that create a complex kaleidoscope that is me. And so I can't be shrunk into one package. And it took my parents seeing and understanding that and being supportive of who I am as a person and seeing that process unfold, that they were able to honor it, acknowledge it, and now be super proud of it.
Well said. I was thinking about what you were saying about the healing process. Do you think, or not do you think, did you experience a hardening of the heart first before you went through your transformation of healing? What was forgiveness on tap?
It was a cracking open of the heart. It's a very interesting thing, and a lot of people ask me to speak on this, and I'm writing a book about it. But when you are expanded in a way that's beyond your physical being and your body, and you're in a place where you have to fully surrender to healing, not just healing from Western medicine or complementary medicine, but healing of spirit, releasing all of who you are to yourself and your inner belief that you can heal yourself, your community, and believing and needing them to heal you, your family, your friends. People I don't know were praying for me in Italy, in Rome, all over the world. When you release yourself that way, you don't have room for hatred. There's no room for division. There's no room for choosing who's going to be on your team and who's not going to be on your team, without allowing everyone to come to the table and offer their gifts. And so, you know, people come who you need, and you are there for people who need you. And so if your heart is hardened, you can't see the flow of the river. You can't see where you need to go. You can't see where you need to be of service, to be healed, to heal, if your heart is hard. So you have to be free. You have to be wide open. You have to love unconditionally, fully, and feel the liberation of that. Feel the expansion and the exaltation of being in the know of who you are, and that is the gift that you bring to this universe. And the universe will have your back all the time in every way that it shows up. Even when we have hardships, I'm not trying to say that, everything's rosy and I can pay all my bills on time and blah, blah, blah. Like, we all have hardships. But if you have an open heart, you can move in a way. For me, I've found that I'm able to move in a way that allows me to accept the things that I cannot change and the courage and wisdom to change the things that I can, and knowing the difference. That prayer, that serenity prayer, is really real for me. And I think for a lot of people, it allows that lifting and that forgiveness piece. It wasn't as hard as people think for it to be forgiveness. Now, let me tell you, when my bones hurt and I'm feeling like beat down physically, I do have moments where I think about those white boys in that truck and I'm like, you know what, brother? I can feel that it's about to rain because my bones are broken because of the truck that ran me over. And if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't be on this path that I'm on right now. So I can't stay angry or in hatred or in malice in my heart because of that. I have to keep it moving because there's just too much to do in this short little time that we have on this planet.
Hey, listen, that's an understatement.
Really? I mean,
the moment you spend in animosity towards not surrendering, because the serenity prayer is all about surrender.
Yes.
All about surrendering to yourself, surrendering to God, surrendering to the universe. And the moment you do that, it doesn't make you frail, and it doesn't make you less strong. It just allows that ebb and flow to move a little better through you so that you can be more open to all of the abundance and everything else that is weighing on positivity to come in.
Absolutely. And I really think it actually is a strengthening factor and a deepening factor that is emblematic of faith. Honestly, my full shiro, straight up, Harriet Tubman. And she had to move in a way that not only surrendered, fear, she had to surrender to faith that not only am I gonna make it, but I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna get all the people that I can grab at whatever age, at any time. Here we go. All y'all gonna make it. That's what we're gonna do. That is a surrender that gives me strength. I mean, if that queen can do it, at least I better try.
You better try
really hard to bring it back to that real. And a lot of my ancestors in my family, I pull from their stories. I think about, my people they come from the South. They were like, farmers and herbalists and had nothing, but they made it work. And I think that, we get so caught up in this modern day, you see real wives of so-and-so and such, and everybody's living in these big bling houses. And when you don't have that, you feel like you have nothing. And that's not the case. And that's why your retreat is so beautiful and powerful in all the spaces where folk that need to be really surrounded by nature and reminded, particularly women of color, particularly sisters, of certain ages, where we need to come together and be in support and in community for one another, to one another, be about one another, so that we can fortify, so that we can remind ourselves that we can make it, and we are making it, even if we don't have this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah. Spirit just whispered in my ear, the biggest enemy for us is ourselves. It become ourselves. We've become, a lot of us as women of color have told ourselves and now believe the lies and the misconceptions about who everybody else claims us to be. And we have to begin to rewrite those narratives, right? Yes. By showing up, not by disproving anyone, but by showing up for ourselves wholly. And sometimes we don't know what that looks like. because our mothers didn't know what that looked like. Our grannies didn't know what that looked like, you know? So we are caught in generational patterns, but those patterns can be remembered and honored, and you can take what you need from those to build upon, but you definitely have to, as women of color, begin to rewrite the narratives of the stories that are told about us.
And,
things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I'm finding that in that retelling of the story or the reframing of it, I'm realizing that our ancestors knew exactly how to maneuver, and we know exactly how to maneuver. We just have to do a little more reshifting of it because we have to fit in a society that we are not welcome. We are having to continuously remind ourselves, because the rest of the world is not going to remind us of how powerful we are, how magical we are, how spiritual we are, how creative we are, and how and whenever I fall into doubt of that, I go back to the earth. I have to go out in my garden, with my herbs, remind myself that my ancestors wove seeds in their hair and brought it over here and lived and brought their traditions and their cultures with them in a place that was set up and designed to kill them, use them and kill them. And so if that isn't fortification, if that isn't knowing your way and finding a new way in the new world, baby, I don't know what else is, for real. I really don't. And that's why I'm so excited that, you've created this space, this retreat. I mean, all of this is about talking about this fabulous retreat. And, I put on a retreat for a decade and a half called Sister Summerfest. It was all about women of color. It was a music spirit retreat. Mm-hmm. And one of the toughest things that I found was getting sisters of color to feel comfortable coming into the woods. Like, they were not having it. They didn't want to be out in nature. Can they plug in their hair iron, their curling iron? And I totally get all of that. But I think what we all came to realize after those many years is that we have a deep-seated fear of being back in a place where we know genetically our ancestors were chased through. We were running through the woods. We weren't going to the woods. We were running through the woods. And so to bring people to reclaim that space, to come back to nature, to understand herbs, to know how our grandmothers did it, it's going to save our lives, because our health care system, a lot of us are uninsured, a lot of us are unhealthy. And so we need to have these other ancient tools at our disposal so that we can heal ourselves and survive.
Yeah, that's critical. And I believe we're at critical mass at this time on the planet. As I travel the world, I watch and observe how other cultures really live a minimalistic life. And it makes me so humble because I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled. If I want to go and take a 20-minute shower and know that I have hot water consistently, I know that that's going to happen. I don't second guess that my hot water is just not going to come on.
Right.
When you're traveling these places, what do you see? What do you see that reminds you that as a generation of women of color, that either we've come far or we haven't come far at all?
That's a really good question. And, it's kind of deep that you're talking about it right now. I'm a board member of the Voss Water Foundation, and we do a lot of work with sub-Saharan African girls on the water trail, and how they have to spend all day, every day, going back and forth through the woods, what we were just talking about, in very dangerous conditions to go get water. And these huge buckets of water that they carry on their heads that actually compresses their spine to bring back to their families. And oftentimes, that water that they have to go to, just because it's the closest one, doesn't mean that it's necessarily clean. And so when I travel these places, not only through the work that I do, but just being out in the world, looking and seeing how we in this country do take water in particular for granted. Not only that it's readily accessible to us, but that it's also clean, and that we don't know what it's like to have to go out, not even to a well in our backyard, but to the river, go get the water, heat the water to clean your bodies. And so us taking our own health for granted because we're used to being able to take 20-minute showers because it makes us feel good is progression as well as going backwards, right? So like I'm like you, sister. I need to be in the water. I need to take a bath. I need to take a shower. I need to, me in hot water, me in cold water, me in regular temperature water. I love water in all of its incarnations, and it is a sacred treasure that many people, particularly folks in Africa, can't get to, can't have readily accessible to them. And so I've now started saying a prayer every time I wash my hands, wash the dishes, take a bath, take a shower, to remember and honor the fact that we are so lucky. And that if we don't remember that and we keep taking it for granted, it will go away. It will go away. And, I think about those young girls that I don't know their names, their faces, but I know that they can't go to school because they have to take care of their families. And the way that they take care of their families is going to get the water. And that's what I see when I travel around. I remember I was in Sierra Leone not long ago, and I was in a hotel because it was with the embassy. And, I woke up ready to take a shower and the power had gone out. No problem. But the water also was connected to the power. So that meant no water, certainly no hot water. And, these sisters woke up at 4 a.m. and they were bringing me these buckets of water that they had heated on the fire just for me to take a warm shower. Not for themselves, but for me. And it made me feel honored and ashamed at the same time. Like, I'm an American, and so that I got to have XYZ because I'm spoiled like that. So I had to give them back the water. So we had a whole battle over who's going to take a hot shower. Me, you, sister. It was really tough. And, I think about people who we take it so for granted. All the things that we have here. We have pencils. People don't have pencils overseas. Paper, access to knowledge. I think that we really need to really remember that there are so many people in the world that don't have. And I remember being a kid, my mom being like, eat all the food off your plate.
You better eat all that food because
they're starving children in Africa. That's right. They're starving children in Africa. And that's real. And even though me eating the food off my plate isn't going to help them any, it's a recognition that I do have. And my people went through their own trials and tribulations to bring me to a place so that I can have. And all that we can do, in addition to trying to do everything in our power to make sure our brothers and sisters all over the world also have, is to acknowledge when I do have, that I have gratitude.
Yeah. I get some energetic reciprocity.
Yes.
Yeah, some energetic reciprocity. It's like, washing your hands. Our youngest daughter likes to wash the dishes with the water running, and I'm always in a yelling match. Cut my water off. Cut that water off, child. Cut it off. Turn it off. Yeah. Turn it off. Well, Mom,
my mother will turn on the water full blast and walk away to go cook something because she says she's trying to make it hot.
That burns me up.
I'm running behind her, turning the water off, turning it off. Mommy, turn it off.
Or those who turn the shower on and then walk away for 10, 20 minutes. I'm like, like, what's wrong with you, Sobande? Listen, I've been in places where
there's no water.
I've watched kids, like you said, walk in Haiti for miles with buckets when they should have been in school.
Yeah.
Waiting for the government to turn the water on at a water point, at an access point. Only there, the government decides, oh, today I'm not going to turn the water on. I mean, so yeah, it's quite frustrating, and I believe that not only our generation, I think this current generation of millennials, I think that they are taking a lot of a lot of little things for granted. And who's going to inherit this planet? And what's going to be, what is Mother Earth going to continue to provide if we keep raping, plunging, pillaging, not honoring, energetically spitting in the face of, like how's that going to turn out when it's time for them to inherit this planet? So
yeah, I just saw some projections actually in preparing for this interview about global climate change and what our world is going to look like in 2050, which sounds far away, but it's just 30 years. So we'll still be here in 30 years. And they're talking about the different regions throughout the United States of like the highest high in the summer and the lowest lows in the winter. And we're going to go through something called weather whiplash, which I had never heard of before, but we're already starting to see where it gets seriously hot and then seriously cold and then seriously hot. And so a lot of the crops that we're used to having are not going to be available to us. Water rising, all the other things that we know that will dictate how we're going to have to learn how to relive. We're going to have to relearn how to live. And it's going to cause a lot of migration of people from other places that can't live where they're living because it's too hot for humans to live there. And it's time for us to remember how to be self-sufficient and how to work with Mother Nature, not only to save her and to save ourselves, but also, as the climates change, what can we grow? What are we going to have to rely on that we know as in our knowledge base that's going to protect us and save us and have our own medicines available and have our own food available? And
well, because there'll be no Publix, Kroger's, Piggly Wiggly, staple. There'll be no places where you can go and get groceries.
right. I mean, seriously. And people laugh at me because I'm trying to learn. I've got like my chicken situation going on, and I'm trying to do my hydroponics, and I'm trying to grow with water, and I'm trying to like save water. And being out in California, I'm in DC and in California. So okay. Right now I'm in DC, right? And so everybody's just like, water, turn it on and keep it on. In California, it's a whole other situation because they experience drought regularly. And so seeing how people really work to conserve water, save water, it's an interesting paradigm to live in both places, to see how our number one resource of water is valued and devalued depending on your experience. So if you experience drought and people turn water off, you're going to value water. If you have it on tap and you're living in Chocolate City, and it's always around, you're not going to pay attention to it so much until it goes away. And then it's too late.
Yeah, then it's too late, which is which speaks to the testament of sacred waters and the power of water and ritual. So as we speak about water and ritual, why do you think that ritual is so important in your everyday life? And do you think, or do you feel that its importance is even heavier for Black and Brown communities? How important do you think that is for Black and Brown communities?
I think it's vital. I think that one of the things that all traditions and religions really infuse, for me anyway, is tools for hope. So whether you're praying to Jesus or whether you're praying to Olodumare, it's ways to be in connection with spirit, which allows a connection to belief and hope, belief in things larger than yourself, but also hope that these things that are larger than ourselves can help us. And so, I'm a priestess of Dos Aguas, Yemayan, Oshun, and Oshun is my Okay. My main Orisha, but I don't know how many of this community that's going to be watching this even knows about that. So without getting caught up in too many of the semantics of it, it's praying to the ocean and to the river, the goddesses of those energies. And because water is so important to me and so important to everyone around the world, ritual reminds us to be conscious of the process of reciprocity and give and take. And it's, like you said, an energetic remembrance. It's a realignment of who I be in the world as a spiritual energy, who you be in the world as a spiritual energy, and how all things seen and unseen coexist. And that coexistence we find through prayer, and we find through awareness of things that are larger than us and that we can't see, but we know are there. So again, it's hope, it's faith, it's a foundational connection that needs to be honored and remembered so that we can stay in alignment with, sorry, my phone.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay. But yeah, I feel like it's vital. And I think that a lot of times, we talk about our physical health, our emotional health. We don't oftentimes talk about our spiritual health.
True.
And that spiritual health is just as vital, if not more vital, than the other two, because it gives that drive to believe and to have hope that you can continue on, that there is a way to have things better for not just yourself, but for everyone. And that's spirituality, that's faith.
Ritual, when you talk about ritual,
right, and ritual,
Black and brown people, it
yes.
often it brings up, for me in my experience, it brings two things to the surface. It brings some type of ancestral remembrance, because you can hear people say, oh yeah, my granny used to put a horseshoe over the door, or the mantle over the fireplace used to have her family's pictures, and a porcelain elephant, and an obituary.
Right.
But it was not recognized as the altar. It was just the mantle over the fireplace.
That's right.
So when you say ritual in Black and brown communities, especially those who have been formalized in Christianity, it often brings a lot of hesitancy, and then I see the fear. There are women who I know want to step foot in the space of sacred waters. They want to peek, they want to pull the curtain back to see what's going on at sacred waters, but then they see rituals show up format.
Yes.
That pulls them back. But what I want to speak to is the volume of, we've always, as Black and brown people, we've always been in ritual.
I'm always astounded, actually, at how people put the word ritual with things that are scary, or, voodoo and this and that. But Christianity, it's ritualized. All traditions have ritual involved in them, receiving the Eucharist and the host, the body and blood of Christ. I don't know why that is deemed holy and acceptable, and rituals from other traditions aren't. And so that's called Hollywood. That's called, the serpent and the rainbow. That's called racism flipped on its head. That's called a whole lot of things. And so when I have a lot of family members who are born again Christians, and we have this conversation all the time about, like, don't you believe in Jesus anymore, Ami? And I'm like, I believe in everything, because it's all, everything is all so beautiful and powerful. And, all the energies from all the different traditions around the world are all valid, because they all speak to something larger than us. They speak to that faith that I was talking about before. They speak to things that are seen and unseen. And so ritual is a way of bringing the unseen into the seen. You light a candle, because you want to have that kind of focus when you are in prayer. You have incense because it brings that kind of focus. And so you can call it ritual, or you could call it meditation, you could call it prayer, or you could call it focus, you could call it sitting still, there's a whole lot of ways. If we get caught in the semantics and the pedantics of language around being in connection to your higher self, which is connected to all of creation, all of the energies, all of the things around us, again, seen and unseen. Ritual is just a way of pulling it into a patterned way to remind ourselves that when we light a candle, when we light incense, when we kneel in the church to pray, when we sing the songs that we sing, when we do whatever we do, we're bringing our mindset into a place that's in alignment with remembering not only how our ancestors accessed that beautiful place, that lifted, spirited place that we all know, that just has many different words that people use to describe the exact same thing that's happening. You could call people get in the spirit in the Baptist church, or getting possessed. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It just coexists in two different realms with two different ways that people describe it. And unfortunately, Hollywood, again, movies have bastardized the way that Black and brown folk around the world do it. And they've made it seem scary and animalistic and this, that, and the other thing.
Hedonistic.
Right, hedonistic, and this way with white Jesus is okay. And it really, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. And if we stay stuck in the languaging to try and make ourselves different and, differentiate, we're never going to come together. And that's what needs to happen across the board. We need to come together around our racial divide. We need to come together around our cultural divide. We need to come together around our spiritual divide, because now is not the time to be divided.
Sure,
we have a larger issue at hand, which is the saving of our planet and ourselves, honestly. And so we have to stop trying to put us against them. And, unfortunately, in our government these days, that's the name of the game. It's pitting us against them, Republican against Democrat, this and the other thing. It doesn't make for an effective modality to move forward as a species. So we need to stop all that, not get caught up in the word ritual because you're thinking it's going to be something anti this or anti that. It's just a way that we're all coming together to honor that which is larger than us.
Yes, and understand a greater sense of who we are.
That's right.
As well. The word that I always use is intimacy. Into me, I see.
Oh, yes, I like that.
Ritual provides intimacy. Me, I see.
That's fantastic. I love that.
It provides daily clarity for my walk. How am I moving? Am I speaking when I'm at the grocery store? Just am I saying hello? Am I greeting someone that I don't know? Am I smiling for someone who may have been thinking about suicide just 60 seconds ago? But my smile changed the course of their,
that is real.
Yeah, that's real stuff. So
that's real talk.
How is ritual providing intimacy for my daily walk? And that's the way I really try to break it down and make it usable and tangible and so that it works. And I think when I move that way, when I'm very intentional about moving that way, it really opens up the door for.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very intriguing to me how now we're in a state of mind within our culture, at least for some of us anyway, where the show The Secret has been like this revolutionary, and now we can, call positivity to us. And that's something that we've had access to all along, and some of us have been doing it from our ancestors all along, but because it's been languaged into a way and put on a film that a lot of people can access it. And that's okay, however it needs to get to folk. But I encourage all of us to not get stuck in the cobwebs of ritual versus prayer. You know, like you said, walking into the intimacy of it, stepping into the belief that if we all embrace all of ourselves, then we are all one. We are never alone. We are all one at all times. And ritual helps with that.
Well, my last question then, to follow up with that sentence is, what will you be bringing to this intimate gathering of 100 Black and Brown women for the retreat in May?
It's a secret. No. You gotta come, baby. You wanna come? You wanna know? You gotta come. Buy your ticket. Hurry up. Get it online. Get it right here from the Queen Sobande. You all need to be there. I'm very excited for everyone to come. I'm going to be bringing lots of songs, lots of different ways that people can access the spirits of the water, particularly Oshun. So we're going to be doing singing, we're going to be doing praying, we're going to be doing ritual, we're going to be doing a lot of things that are going to really allow us to connect not only with our sensual selves and our larger divine goddess, feminine fabulousness, and our Black girl magic, and all of our stupendous ways that we be in the world as our higher elevated selves. We're going to access our authentic voice. We're going to access the way that we not only can heal ourselves, but that we heal everyone around us.
All right. Well, Amikaeyla Gaston, I want to thank you for obliging me this morning with this. You are preparing to jettison across the other side. So for those of you who are tuned into our podcast, Seed, Soil, and Soul, or you're watching this interview on one of our social media platforms, Instagram, or I don't know if you can watch videos on Twitter, but Instagram and Facebook. I'm a dinosaur when it comes to this thing. That's why I have somebody.
You are way ahead of the curve with this sister right here. I'm like, let me write a letter. Dear editor.
Right, that's me.
Don't have enough stamps. But.
Right. You can find out more information by going to our website, www.sacredwatersretreat.com. Click on Tennessee, scroll down, you'll see all of the speakers in the lineup for the May retreat. If you click on their beautiful photos, you'll see their bios. We have 100 spaces available, and we are now down to 58, I believe, last count.
Great.
So this is the month where tickets will start to move even quicker. So if you're standing on the fence about whether or not this retreat is for you, I say take a breath and ask yourself, are you ready for real change? Take a breath, ask yourself, are you ready to be in a space that is transparently honest, and it allows you to really get naked and see not only yourself for who you really are, but to also see the sister beside you who mirrors that. So
can I add in one?
Add one, please.
To take a breath and to know that you can nurture yourself and come and be in a space with other sisters who are going to nurture you too, and to create community and feel love and feel loved and be able to love, and to remind yourself that you are a blessed, blessed child on this earth. You are a child of earth and starry heaven, and you have a right to feel refreshed, cleansed, and nourished by sacred waters.
Ashe on that. I'm going to plug this because I get asked a lot. This event is only for 100 women. And I always say it's intimate because Sacred Waters is a shape-shifting event. We get a lot of sisters who are introvert. We get a lot of sisters who have been told the lie and sold the lie that you've got to walk through this world by yourself. You've got to do this by yourself. You've got to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Nobody's going to help you. You can't trust your sister. This is a space where we shape-shift that, and we dispel the myth of community and what community can look like for you. So what will start off as 100 during the weekend will turn into 5, because you'll feel like that intimacy is a part of you. You will feel like that intimacy is truly being weaved into your soul. And it is my wish and my hope that the sisters who attend are ready for that type of transformation, that they are ready to empty out their cup and have it filled with things that really move and push them to the next level of seeing their own greatness, and just being able to handle life on a different level. They're every.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I invite you to the website to take a look. If you have any questions, you can contact us via email. You can also call us at 615-499-6849. Until then, everybody, manifest everything on purpose, intentionally, for yourself, for your families, for your communities, for the world, for the global world, for the universe. Everything is waiting on you. There isn't anything on this planet that hasn't already been divinely written in the book for you. Show up, be present, and be ready to accept it with open arms. Thanks, everybody. I love you, Amikaeyla. Thank you so much.
I love you too.
Joining us.
I can't wait to see everybody soon.
Yeah. I will. I'll shoot you an email maybe in a few weeks when you're back from Russia, just to check on you.
Okay, sounds good.
I love you.
Oh yes. Okay, great. I'll see you later, girlfriend.
Oh, right. You know what? We forgot. Amikaeyla, tell everybody where they can find you. What?
Yes, you can get me on Facebook, get me on Instagram, get me on all those other things. It's my name, Amikaeyla, Amikaeyla. You can do amikaeyla.com or my organization, ICAHSI, ACAHSI.org.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, dearie.
Bye.
Bye.